Welcome to the second episode of Finding Your New Post Meta. In this series, we are talking with ex Meta folks who have now kind of moved on and are finding their new. Here today with us, we have Laurent. He's built a remarkable career from Meta to startups and now is leading his own boutique agency and doing work that actually brings him joy. What makes this really special is just not what he's done, it's how he has reclaimed his story at a stage where many could find themselves be really invisible, right? So, Laurent, welcome. But would love to give you some space to talk about uh, who you are, where you come from, and we'll get started on this journey.
Yeah, thanks. So, where I come from, I think my accent is obvious. So, from France, Paris. But it's been a long time I've been in Singapore. So, I'm a creative. So, I'm like a trained a long time ago as a designer, and then I work into many different fields of like design. And one day I was reached by Meta, Facebook at the time, 2019, like to join like the creative shop. So creative shop is like helping like the sales team like to accompany like a big clients and to support them of like how could they deploy like their campaign on like a Meta platform. So for me that was great, an amazing, like honestly the best job of my career I could dreamed of. I discovered the world of tech. I discovered working with like an engineer, sales in a very different level. So that was really the best thing happens like until I get like a laid off in 23. And luckily for me, like one of the engineer I used to work with at Meta had like this AI startup, and it was about like AI workflow, how to try different kind of workflows of like different kind of like AI models. So again, it was fantastic because you have the thrill of the startup, it was super interesting. I mean, AI was like even hotter. Like like everybody talk about AI all the time. And it was really interesting, like to do like a product development, to do the sales. It was something very very cool. But unfortunately, like a lot of startups, 95% of them, ours like didn't really succeed. So I enjoyed like the second layoff in the same year. Uh, and and that was the beginning of the dark part of my career because I'm old. I think like the cam doesn't give me justice, but I'm 47 years old. So if you think of creative people, like if you're 47, it's a bit like dog years, like you're like almost like 99. So a lot of people think about like you can't be creative after being 47. I mean, after 40, you're already a dinosaur, or like you're supposed to be like a chief creative officer or a CEO. Like you need to be at very high level. So there is kind of like a shift happening of like what you want to do, what you could do, and how the people are perceiving you. Um, and yes, so that was kind of like a tough journey for me, like to realize of like who I wanted to be and what I could do.
Would love to know, like, what is this new version of you, uh, third time over, fourth time over? What is this new version that has emerged from the experience that you've had all these years?
Um, I think it was like the sense of accomplishment. For example, of like when you go at Meta and like when you do a startup and you had this kind of like very high pace and everything was about like metrics of success or how like you can deliver things, how you can ship stuff. You kind of like define yourself through like your accomplishments. And I realized of like that was a very dangerous path for me because I defined myself through the work and not like defined myself through like who I was really much. So yes, I'm a creative person. I mean, I think of creative stuff all the time, like in the street, in the shower, like literally all the time. I always do those. I always create. I always think about, oh, maybe I should do that. But then suddenly, like you have no one to see your work. I think that was for me like the biggest despair. I think despair was the right word. And what came from that is like I realized of like I'm not my work, I'm not the achievement. And that's the person who I am now. Like I realize of like, yeah, maybe like happiness is really somewhere else. It's not defined by metrics, it's not defined by the eyes of the others. And I'm really lucky to have like a very supportive wife, two kids. And for me, that was really like the way of like, yeah, so we are healthy, we have enough money, we have food on the table, kids are good at school. I mean, suddenly like you redefine of like, is it really important? So I think I shifted my focus on like uh, my work and me to like a broader circle, which is more the family. And I didn't realize I've lost this kind of touch.
I mean, clearly we've all had this kind of a grief that hit us, and we've had to learn how to deal with it. Each person did it their own way, clearly, right? And at one point, and you also, what's coming out of this conversation is that you've also had the time to kind of get over it in a way, and then choose to kind of look forward, right?
Yeah.
That's what we want to do now is, like you said, at 47, you've said that, oh, am I going to be in the creative space? It feels like you are chasing the fountain of youth in a way, because you've had to kind of reskill yourself from the
Yes.
get-go. So tell me a little more about that piece, right? Because I think that's what people would want to also hear about. What did reskilling look like for you when you're not particularly looking to start over, but you're trying to evolve from who you are and kind of keep up with the industry?
Okay. So two points on that. The first one is like it is true. So I went for like interviews, and one of the recruiter told me like I was so insistent to meet this guy, this recruiter, and I guess, and he told me during the interview of like, oh Laurent, I was very hesitant to meet you because like you're too old. And I was like, wow, that was brutal. Um, and then I was like, "Is it? What do you mean by too old?" Like, yeah, but you seems cool. You still have the energy. I'm like, what do you mean I still have the energy? And I was like, motherfucker. But sorry for the language. We're going to beat that after. But then he explained to me, no, because the market is like that. Like, like any startups or tech company, like if you're above 40, like you need to be that kind of senior. So we don't see the purpose. Doesn't mean like you're not that good if you're still doing creative stuff. Yeah, like, no, it's just because I'm good at that. I don't want to be a manager of people and things. I'm good at making the stuff. I find solutions, I implement the stuff, but don't want to manage like emotional problems of like the team. No, not my choice. And then like Mads from Meta, she's doing like a the hour project. So I became like a volunteer and also like started to work for like other people. And then people like tell me like, oh, Laurent, thank you so much. It's really good. We are happy with that. And I was like, yeah, see, I can still do stuff. So again, networking really helps you also like to find the right people, the right audience. So if people are only looking for young people, that means they are not really mature themselves. Don't, it's not pointing the finger like it's you, it's not me, it's you. I think also the world is a big place. There is enough people to talk to. And if some people don't want to talk to you, it's like, don't try to force you. Don't try to be who you are not. Try to be who you, yeah, try to be yourself. Um, and the thing is like, actually, if you look at like artist or artisan, someone who's producing stuff, like, like let's take a dentist or a lawyer. A good dentist is someone who has experience. A good lawyer is someone who has experience. A good chef is someone who has experience. They are not like CEO or C level or whatever. They are who they are, and they are making incredible stuff. And thanks God they have experience. Because when bad things happens, yeah, they know because they experienced that before, because they tried before. And then, so in French, there is this like things about like the value of the good heart doesn't weight the numbers of the years. I think this is also true. So don't try to say young people they are not good because they are young. Some people are young people are incredibly talented, and they should be given a chance to do the things. So I think it's also a way of like there is enough space for everyone, and you should judge the people of like how good they are and not how old or how uh, whatever bias you may have in your mind. So and also I completely understand of like, yeah, you don't want to have older people because they have kids, they have other priority, and in the spirit of the team that doesn't go well. So it's perfectly fine, you know. And so therefore, like I found out like there are other people that wanted to have the experience they have. So it's just a matter of like, don't try to force fit, don't try to hide who you are, be yourself, and find the time to talk and to listen to the right people.
What does this um, reskilling process actually look like for you? Um, Not just from a technical standpoint of learning the new stuff like 3D modeling that you brought up, but what did it look like on a more emotional scale?
Okay, so um, then I was to the point of like, okay, so if I can't find a job, so I went to interviews and it didn't work well. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to crossing. So I say, fine, I'm going to do my own stuff. And then I realized like I had more like a freelance job on the side. I say, what is the difference of a freelancer and a company? What is the difference of like you consider yourself as a freelancer or of like I'm the owner of my own boutique? So then I said, you know what? I'm going to create my own boutique agency. That was kind of like my dream stuff things. So the reskilling was that it was like, can I be my own boss? So I have to reskill myself of like being an accountant. I hate accountancy. I'm using Sleek and it's like a sheer nightmare. And then I hate Excel sheets so we are living in the age of AI. So the best thing that happened was like I had a coach. So I have two coaches, YouTube and Claude. When I don't know some things, I'm looking at tutorials or podcasts or stuff, and I'm like trying to learn at the same time. And then when I have like practical questions, like I do Claude with the MCP, and then I can try to also like build my own like a database system. So I know all the mistakes I've been doing on the go, and then I'm asking questions of like, is that the right way of doing things? How I fill in my taxes, how what is like the amount of like salary I should pay me every month, like project management. I create my own timeline, trying also to get the email, put that into Notion, try to follow up on the project. So it's super cool. I think the reskilling was more about like enabling the thirst of learning. The reskilling is not about the finality of it. I think the reskilling is like, what else do you want? What kind of new skills do you want to have? So it's a bit of like you're like in some kind of like a video game or like a Dungeon and Dragon, and then like okay, I'm a wizard, but I kind of like shooting arrows like an elf is doing. Can I learn that? So that's the way. So I like trying of okay, good. I'm going like to learn this new competence, and then I'm going like to use that. And at the end, is really cool because I think the use of your brain is like being curious and don't think you cannot learn. You say, oh no, I'm not good at that. I'm not, no. If you don't try, maybe you don't like it, but you can be good at that. But it's a different things. So do I enjoy accountancy? Not at all, but I start to enjoy Excel sheets. It's a very strange feeling. Uh, I don't like that. Really, I'm like, really, Excel is cool. I'm like, yeah, Excel could be nice. And I start to like CSV and JSON files. And I realized, oh my God, I'm organized and I can do this kind of stuff. And very strangely, it kind of like look back to the creativity and the things I'm doing for clients. I'm like, so all the stuff I'm learning now, I could put back that into the creative things I'm doing. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. You know, it's like, so I was looking at the Excel sheet of like a company of like a fintech one. I was like, this is crap. Why do they present it this way? We could make something much more interactive and better. But if I didn't have this new love for Excel sheets, I would have never discovered that. So keep learning and try to learn the things you think you're not good at.
And
There are surprises.
and that brings me to the interesting question of how did you choose to learn these things? Because you've told yourself in the past that this was not what you liked. You only wanted to do creative stuff. So how did you avoid the pressure of learning
AI,
what's really new?
but
How did it make sense to you?
honestly, it's AI.
Hmm.
The first thing that happens was because of the startup, I couldn't understand the engineers. They were talking to each other, and I have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, I understood the word of English they were talking, but in the same sentence, it makes no sense. So what I did was like recording the sessions of when they were talking, and then asking ChatGPT to explain like if I was 5 years old. Then I did it again of like now explain to me if I'm 7 years old. Then I did until like 15 years old. Then I realized of like when I asked GPT to explain the same things when I'm 20, that's where like I couldn't like learn that. Then I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then because I understood more about what they were talking about like JSON files, and I was like, what is JSON? What is Markdown? And then I start to learn that, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I realized, okay, there is also CSV. And then it went to like, oh, Excel sheet and CSV. Oh, can I do that and that? And then I realized of like, if you structures, because sometimes when you're using AI, you need to use prompt, and Markdown is much efficient because it's properly labeled and everything. And then I started to have this kind of like AI coach. For everything, like I could ask question and nobody's judging me, and AI has infinite patience. So I can always ask, okay, I don't understand. Explain to me if I'm 5, 10, 15, and 20 years old. And then for me, it's kind of like remove the barriers because I realize like I don't understand because I don't understand this vernacular English way of speaking stuff things. That's why I didn't understand because French, I mean, I can speak a bit of Bahasa, but then I realize like the logic sometimes is just different. So the biggest barrier is like, do you understand the English they're using or the language they're using? And with AI, you remove all that. Then you can ask again and again. And there is like there is things. I mean, I can't remember everything. Um, I'm not a genius by far. And there's things like I forgot all the time. But it's really cool. Of like I feel not stupid because finally I can do that. And it's kind of like the Excel sheet for me was like the barrier was like I'm too dumb to understand.
Just looking at your journey, like the different roles and the various.
Fascinating, not so much.
Yeah, I
But
mean, no, it
thank
is.
you.
No, it is indeed, because what I'm seeing from out here is that you've had to go through various roles, so many ups and downs. And what I am getting a sense of is that you had things to learn as well as things that you had to unlearn for yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
and you had to choose what you wanted to kind of pick up and run with, and which you had to kind of leave. Right? So tell me a little more, like, do you see it that way? What were the things that you had to unlearn for yourself as you chose to embark on your new journey, the creative shop that you now are running by yourself?
It's a good question. Um, Certainty. You have to remove certainty from yourself. You have to embrace uh, that you are not sure about everything. You have to embrace that you you're still. I mean, for me, I think the thing was like the perception I have of like I'm not good enough because I thought I was the best at meta because for me it was like the top job I could ever land and everything. The startup was amazing because it was product development on AI with super smart people, and then suddenly you are alone. There is no one else. And then like actually like this moment of silence, and I think like I really realize also like embrace like the of feeling bad. I think like this depression like it was a very good experience to have at this time of my life. So I was lucky enough of like to have supporting people and everything. But if I didn't have that, I would have been too certain of my life and too certain of the things I wanted to do. And I think the uncertainty, it allows you to listen to other people. It allows you to say, I don't know, and I should listen, instead of like trying to talk too much, which I've been doing here for like too much time. But that's the thing also, like I realize is like, um, be quiet, be silent, listen to other things, be ready to get like to get impressed by everything. That could be funny things today. I had like bringing my daughter to school. We had all the green lights, and I was like, "All the green lights? That's so cool!" Tiny little joys, like why green lights is important. But then I was like, after that, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I mean, there must be a proper sequence of like what is the right speed of green light or the green light at this particular like a crossing road everything. And that's the thing of like when you have certainty, you don't pay attention to these little things because you're focused on too many things in your head. So I think that's the biggest lesson, but at the same time the biggest point. So when you asked before about like the different view and everything, I think that's the new chapter of me is like embrace the to be uncertain, embrace of having doubts. Because when you're having doubts, then you listen to others. Then like I'm more careful about my surrounding. I love the time I'm spending with my kids because I'm uncertain. Because I'm like, this is primary joy. I love to play Pokemon cards with them because it's a proper moment and everything. And okay, recently I've been looking of like, I think I want to be a teacher. So I was looking at like actually just looking at like another things. I'm like, I think I would love to listen to like not being a teacher, like to teach the people of what I want to do or what I could give them, but more to be a teacher of like what do they want to do, and is there a way of like we could be doing something together. I think that could be a nice thing also. I would like to try to do is like to be more to be surrounded by different ideas and things I don't know. So again, it's all about like the uncertainty and like embracing like the differences of the people and trying to understand and try to see if we can communicate together.
That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Um, what advice would you give to somebody who is on a similar path that you have kind of taken up and consistently doing the right things and feeling good about the decisions that they're taking, but yet somehow, somewhere feel a bit stuck or unseen?
Um, I think like everybody is different. So I would be very careful about like I don't have the advice.
Mhm.
I think the advice worked for me because of the different kind of parameters that makes myself who am I. So if you recognize yourself a bit in what the thing I've been doing, uh, I think the first things first is like if you really feel stuck or whatever, um, try to talk to people. For example, like on the meta group, the meta retired, there was like a people like I was asking for coach for interviews. And then that was a good idea because like she gave me a very good advice. I failed miserably the interview, but I think that was a good failure. No, honestly, I was like, so if the people from Gab listen to this, so sorry if I wasted your time, but it was a very good thing. Like I didn't get the job at Grab because I think it was not for me. And I try, yeah. So first advice, don't try to force yourself into something you don't want to do. Second one, try to do things you really love. So if you feel stuck, um, maybe it's because you don't like what you're doing. Try to shift, pivot yourself and try to see what are the things that really motivate you to do that. If it's the money, maybe it's not the right motivation, but if it's like the fame, it's like Jim Carrey said, like uh, money and fame doesn't bring happiness. Trust me, because I've tried that and it didn't work. So again, that sounds very cheesy, but if you do the things you love, uh, isn't that the best investment you can do? Because the time is the only currency we don't have enough. Like we all like time. So don't waste your time on things you don't want to do. And that will really unstuck yourself and talk to people. Talk to professional people if you don't feel good, and talk to other people just to give you advices. And good luck. You need to have a bit of luck. If luck helps a lot to meet the right people. Like, we met strangely at a Grace event, and then pure luck. But it was great because we had like a nice discussion. So embrace.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were kind of going through some of these sessions with people around you, it does somehow, at least for me, it was true that I had to kind of come up with a story that would make it easier for them to understand what I was going through rather than tell it in my own words, right? Did that ever happen to you? If so, like when did you stop trying to explain your story in some others'
Uh,
words and start telling it what
no,
felt true to you?
I think not yet. I think for me that's a work in progress. I still having some. I think it's a good problem to have because if you find that solution, that means like you. Yeah. So no, I still don't know. I mean, even now, like when I explain what am I doing, I need to compartment to depending of like who is the audience and everything. So, but like sometimes like trying like so yeah, I'm having my portfolio, my website. I think every month I'm changing the about sections. I still don't know exactly what the fuck am I doing. It's like because it's different. So I still struggle a lot to explain like who am I and what I'm doing, which is good things. The journey is not finished yet. I still need to understand of like who am I, what am I doing on this earth.
I mean, what is the story that you're telling yourself right after your layoff or right after you felt better with where you are to what is it that you're telling yourself now?
I think it was like a Grace posted that into like one of our sessions. So it was this guy who said like, "You are not your job, you're not your money, you're not the things." And it's a bit like like a transpotting, the beginning of the movie Transpotting. I know who am I because I'm not that. I don't know if it makes sense. It's kind of like
Mhm.
instead of like a trying to have like an additive way of like, oh, I'm a designer and a coder and something, and I try like to add the stuff. I'm more into like the subtractive phase of myself of like, I am not that, or I don't want to be that. So this is the way of like I've changed the narration. I'm not additive anymore, I'm subtractive. I remove the not essential stuff from my definition of myself.
And when it comes to personal narratives and all of that, and even learning and reskilling and all of that, what's something that you wish more people spoke about when it came to rebuilding some of your pieces of the career after 40?
I think it's okay, David Lynch quote. David Lynch said like so he's a director, and then he said like the girl was asking like, so how old are you? And he replied of like sometimes I'm 12, sometimes I'm 20, but I'm never above 35. And I think like older people above like a certain age, I mean, ask me my age, I'm like 45, 5, 6, 7, I'm 7, I'm 8. What? Okay, what, how, with 2015, 16, I'm that old today? I'm like, so like you don't realize your age. I think especially into our society, um we are we are defining ourselves with young people because we all talk about the millennial, the Gen Z, or whatever. Social media is full of like young people. I mean, but the reality of the society, like Earth is aging. Most of the developed countries are old. Like Singapore has a deficit of birth. So we, it's don't mistake of like what the society wants to show you about the young people or the future. I think, unfortunately, in this current demographic, we are the one that needs to make this change. So, like, if you're 40 and you get laid off, it's not an age issue. Don't be scared of your age because the reality is like, I mean, Anand, you and I, we have gray hair.
lots of it.
Do you think you're old? I'm not either. So don't think age. Don't think you're limited by that. So again, define yourself by being subtractive. You are not your age.
Wow, what a powerful message right
But
there.
no, it's not. I think it's just like it's not impressive or powerful. I think like we just like and that's the things of like I'm much happier now. Like you shouldn't define yourself of like how many metrics or how many stuff, what is the success you have. No, it's not really the way of like your career development. You just need to embrace like who you are. That is, I mean,
No, thank you, Laurent. I think this has been a rich and an honest conversation, to say the very least.
I hope it
I
was not too boring.
no, like you walking us through the different chapters of your life, like what are the challenges that you're facing today, and how you basically found purpose in learning something from yourself inside out. This journey really underscores some of the um, rebuilding that you've had to go through. So thank you so much.
Can I add one thing? Actually, there is
Absolutely.
one thing like which is also like very important is like the community. Like all those groups, this WhatsApp group and everything, is like I think like those communities like really helped me a lot. Without those people, so thank you guys for whoever is taking the time to build all that. It's really important. Um, Again, like the Hourglass project, like being part of the community and like helping people is so important. So if there is one thing you can do, give a bit of your time. If there is a way of like we can make these communities like more alive and like reaching more people and everything, I will be more than happy to do that because thanks to you guys. I mean, I've been meeting like all those people, all those coaches. Like I'd never had like talking to all these things. So thank
Yeah.
you. I think I should thank you for that because it was really cool.